Hello, everyone. This is Suzanne at the Gospel of Truth. Welcome back. I know it's been a few days, I believe, since I've been on. Ron and I started our physical therapy. It was a rough week last week. My shoulder and my left knee, I was in so much pain. Feeling a little better today. But they do this procedure called dry needling. I don't know if you've ever experienced that, but it's pretty rough sometimes. It's supposed to stimulate those muscles, maybe cause a little bit of inflammation to promote the healing process, but we both look like porcupines. I'll try to get a picture of it next time we go to physical therapy and show it to you. Excuse me for my fidgeting. I just thought I could quickly open this drink. There we go. Okay, got my breakfast drink. Okay, what else has been going on? Sam, our dog, came down, kept licking and scratching at his paws and chewing them. He got this green goop and this white discharge going from his eyes. His ears were red. So we took him to the vet. I believe that was last Monday, Tuesday. And he said he had conjunctive eye disease, whatever that is. It's basically like a slight allergy reaction because his fur on his paws is getting thin. There's some red spots. And he's been sneezing. He's been shaking his head. So we put him on eye drops and gave him a steroid shot. And I'm glad to report that he is starting to do much better. He's not chewing on his paws near as much. So I think we're on the right track here. And we'll have to probably keep him on some kind of an allergy pill during the allergy season, which I believe is from June or July till November. So, yeah, got to get pills for our dog. I never experienced that before. I never had a dog with allergies, but he's doing better. All right, we're going to continue in our book, Keep the Faith by Dr. David Jeremiah. I appreciate all your comments. I had quite a few on my last couple of videos. I really appreciate that. I love getting feedback and getting your thoughts. So please continue doing that. If you don't have time to drop a comment, please hit that like button. Because I see I get like, sometimes I get 23 to 47 views. And I know there are more out there. And by you pressing that like button, you know, it shows me what the flow is, so to speak. I'd like to try to reach as many people as I can for the cause of the Lord. And those of you that do follow me, I will be starting up soon here, making some more hats for winter with my knitting machine. And I'm really looking forward to that. All right, let's get right down to it, shall we? The grace of God provides perspective. Now, one thing, or the note that we left on last time, the weakness of humanity is the proper container to glorify God. Isn't that true? God uses the weak things of the world to astound the world. Yeah, it's pretty amazing when you think about it. Sometimes out of our weakness, we become strong. For our light affliction, which is but for a moment, is working for us a far more exceedingly and eternal weight of glory, where we do not look at the things which are seen, but at the things which are not seen. For the things which are seen are temporary, but the things which are not seen are eternal. 2 Corinthians 4:17 and 18. I got a dry throat this morning. That is so true. For our light affliction is but for a moment. Now, light affliction, sometimes when I'm going through my chronic pain issues and dealing with stuff, I think, this is light? What does horrible, terrible feel like? I'm sure you probably felt that way at times too. When you struggle with some trial, your first question might be, why is this happening? A better one would be, what is God teaching me? Why is this happening? What is God teaching me? It's difficult for us to remember that God's great desire is for us to see things as they really are, rather than as they appear to be. As Paul said, we see in a mirror dimly right now. God is always working to remove the fog so that we might share his heavenly perspective. Have you ever met a child who was given her every desire? What is the result of that kind of parenting? It creates spoiled, undisciplined children who believe the world will always serve their request on a silver platter when they snap their fingers. Don't we have a whole generation of kids nowadays that behave that way? They get their feelings offended because you didn't call me a he, she, or a them, they, and you won't address me as a cow, as a cat. They go off and do all kind of horrible things, and they're ready to call discrimination and throw you in jail if they can. Very spoiled. I don't know what type of homes these kids were brought up in, but something seems to be seriously lacking in their upbringing. And there's so many mental ill people out there that are being allowed to call the shots. Can you imagine, in your wildest dreams, did you ever imagine you'd see this day? Wow, certainly different from those of us that grew up in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. Whole different world. Sadly to say, not for the better. I'm sure you agree good parents don't raise their children that way. Instead, they deny their children certain demands when it is appropriate to do so. Effective parents are always using the moment for an object lesson. They let their children know that love is not the same as pampering. Would your Father in heaven be any less wise in his parenting? He refuses to solve all our problems, but he gives us all the sustaining grace we need for toughing it out. Last week, Ron and I were really toughing it out. I'm telling you, it was not a good week. I couldn't go out and walk. My knee hurt so bad. It was like, wow. The grace we need for toughing it out. What helps you when you're having a really hard time? You're dealing with cancer, taking care of a husband, taking care of a wife. What do you do to tough it out? Unruly children that have walked away from the Lord, and you pray for them every single day. How do you tough times out? Drop me a comment about that. How do you deal with tough times? Can you remember taking your child to a new Sunday school class when she was 3 years old? She may have cried. She may have clung to your legs and begged you not to desert her until the situation tugged at your heart. You may have experienced every impulse to simply give in and take your child to the adult class with you or stay with her in the child's class. You would have then failed to help your child learn how to adjust to a new environment. Instead, you would have taught her that a pathetic demeanor will manipulate desired results. Now consider that time when you were an adult-sized version of that situation. You were unemployed or grieving over a lost relationship, perhaps. As you cried out to God, don't you think it tugged at his loving heart? Don't you think he longed to gather you up in his arms and give you everything you wanted? But he loved you enough not to give in. He knew how much wiser and stronger you would become through learning to depend upon his grace in a time of a storm. Once your pleading was over and you had calmed down, just as a child does in a new Sunday school classroom, you were able to hear God say entirely new things to you. You could feel yourself growing. You said, I made it through this trial by trusting God, and next time I won't be knocked down so easily. So, tough times out. I made it through this trial by trusting God. Next time, I won't so easily be knocked down or caught off guard. We will recognize where that is coming from and how we must turn to God's grace to see us through it. And know we're going to be better off when we come out the other end. We don't want to get too comfortable in this world, do we? If we did that, what need would we have of God? If God gave us everything we wanted, why would we need God? We would soon not even give credit to God. I hear a lot of people say, I've done everything on my own. I didn't need no help from God. Wow, that's very prideful. Let us consider the remarkable way God nurtures us through our struggles according to this passage of Scripture. Afflictions help us anticipate glory. Reigning with Christ requires suffering with him. No cross, no crown. But holding the hand of Jesus through the darkness gives us a glimpse of the glorious nature of deliverance that is to come. Light things help us appreciate heavy things. Paul called it a light affliction, and frankly, that's what most of our sufferings are. They are like smaller models of the higher suffering called death and the higher glory of eternal life. God teaches powerful truth through the lesser mediums. Temporary things help us to appropriate eternal things. For the things which are seen are temporary, but the things which are not seen are eternal. The hope of wearing Olympic gold drives athletes to persevere through, and even to value the pain of dedication. Comparing the value of temporary pleasures with potential glory, they press on. Gold medals are of fleeting value. Some even turn up in pawn shops to be exchanged for a different medal. The goal before us also requires rigorous perseverance through pain. Unlike the hopeful competitor, we can have confidence that every trial, every struggle has a particular purpose to produce in us some eternal value, provided we keep the faith. That's huge right there. Provided we keep the faith. Outward pain helps us accelerate inward progress. Therefore, we do not lose heart. Even though our outward man is perishing, yet the inward man is being renewed day by day. Isn't that exciting that modern day science is only now beginning to affirm what the Bible has said all along? There's a close relationship between body, mind, and soul. This is why you've met people with physical challenges who have extra layers of wisdom that few others have attained. Bodily suffering drives us deeper. We find God at the broken places, teaching and encouraging. I know a lot of times when I go out, when Ron goes out, perhaps even when you go out, dealing with those hidden issues that nobody else sees, especially chronic pain, after having a knee replacement, a shoulder replacement, your heart, all these things. What do? How are you doing today? Oh, I'm just fine. Everything's great. And behind that smile is this. But the smile reminds us that, yes, I may be quivering inside. I may be ready to drop a tear, but I'm okay. And nobody would know. Have no idea there was anything wrong with you. And that's what we're supposed to do. We're not supposed to go around like we're sucking on sour pickles and wear a mean face and be cruel and snap at others because of our suffering. We must really dig deep down to our reserves and know that, God, your grace is sufficient for me. Your love is sufficient for me. Jesus went through trials. He told us that we would go through trials and tribulations. And it's true. You can't get around it. We are going to enter into heaven with a lot of scars under our belt. And we're going to enter heaven victorious, that we kept the faith, we depended on God, we trusted him, that he ultimately, yeah, you did know best for me. Maybe if I wouldn't have had those things in my life to kind of keep me humble and turning to you all along, God, where might I be today? Would I have prayed as hard? Would I have turned to your word as much? Would I have grown deeper into the meat of the word? Or would I let all those things keep me away from it? And just say, I just don't know. Christians should never say, I just don't know. Yeah, we do know. We live in a sin-sick world. We're going to have trials and tribulations. And we also know we have a loving God who's going to be there to lift us up and encourage us every step of the way. I mean, Jesus loved us so much. He came down from heaven in the form of man to die on a cross, a horrible, most horrible death in the world, so he could save us. Because we couldn't save ourselves. Excuse me. John Newton wrote, "We will look back upon the experiences through which the Lord led us and be overwhelmed by adoration and love for him. We will then see and acknowledge that mercy and goodness directed every step. We shall see that what we once mistakenly called afflictions and misfortune were in reality blessings, without which we would have not grown in faith. We can't wish away our problems, and we're unlikely to put on a fake smile and pretend we're enjoying them. What we can do is meet them squarely and soberly, refusing to view them as random shots from an unkind world. Instead, we know that they are necessary challenges for the positive growth we're intent on experiencing." Now, I'm going to back up a little bit from what I just said about putting on a happy face, but I personally believe that when I put on a happy face and I try to be polite, even through horrible pain going on in my body, it helps me. Now, there are days, I will admit it, that I'm in such pain, I just lay down in bed and I stay in bed half the day, because it takes every ounce that's within me to deal with the pain. And that's when I do a lot of praying and just pretend that Jesus is wrapping his arms around me and taking me under the shadow of his wing until I regroup, regain strength enough to press on. Instead, we know there are necessary challenges for the positive growth we're intent on experiencing. Who wants to remain a child forever? We know we need a good workout. We know it's necessary to build our spiritual muscles. There are no muscles of any kind that strengthens without resistance. Well, I know what it's like to strengthen my body muscles. It's painful. It hurts. And you're using muscles you haven't used in a while. You're sore for a few days. But you know you have to keep pressing on. After our first session with this new therapist, I was hurting so bad, I thought, I don't know if I'm going to go back. But Ron felt the same way. But we thought, no, we're going to see this through and see where it goes, because we know we're not going to be cured in one session, and we're not going to feel much better after one session. So we know it's necessary to build our spiritual muscles. And by doing that, what would you do? How would you build your spiritual muscles? Staying in the Word, praying, going to church, meditation. And the deeper we go into the Word, the more strengthened our spiritual muscles become to see us through those tough times. When you're at the gym, sometimes you can get through a grueling cycle on some machine by thinking about the muscles the machine is helping. I suggest you do that very thing during times of struggle. Where can you feel the burn? What part of your character is going to be that much more godly tomorrow? My friend, Perspective will completely change the way you approach challenges. Excuse me. I don't know why. I think I might have allergies. I've been sneezing the past week like 4 and 5 times a day. And I gotta take an allergy pill. But I think I'm gonna sneeze. You know, I don't edit out this stuff. This is me. This is real. You know, I'm just not going to be all perfect all the time and look like I'm, you know, maybe look like the cat drugged me in. But that's life, isn't it? That's reality. I want you to know. I go through struggles. I do bloopers. I make mistakes. We did a big one last week, didn't we, where I tried to show you Sam, my dog, and my computer flipped on the floor. You're like, oh, my goodness. That didn't work out the way that I saw it in my mind. And you kind of have to laugh at those times, don't you? And if you drop an egg on the floor, it's like, oh, those are so yucky to clean up. And you just go, well, get to it, clean it up. The other day, I opened the door, and one of Ron's coffees had spilled, and it's trickled all the way down into the bottom drawer of the vegetable keeper. So, yeah, I had to pull that out, wash it, and I'm going, oh, geez. So, sometimes I just go, oh, geez, and I start laughing, and I go, okay, well, just do it. Such is life, right? In one of his books by my friend Ron Mell wrote these words: storms always leave us with a list of things to clean up and fix. There are times when God restores us to the things we lose through negligence, ignorance, rebellion, or sin. For the Christian, storms are a no-lose proposition. They help us see and acknowledge the loose shutters, missing shingles, and rotten fence posts in our lives, while turning us back to the only one who can make the necessary repairs. That is huge. That is very huge. Okay, I think we are going to stop here. Next time, which hopefully will be tomorrow, the grace of God promotes perseverance is where we're going to pick up on. Boy, don't we need to learn about perseverance? Don't we need to be reminded? All right, hopefully this week is going to go better. I'm getting my mindset, and we'll see where each day takes us and press on toward that goal, right? All right, you all take care. You have a blessed Sunday. I love each and every one of you. Think about these things as we do these lessons, as we're reading from this book. How has this book so far helped you or been of a benefit to you? Maybe name some things that it has helped you realize and that you're better because of it. All right, you take care now. Bye-bye.